What's up, everyone? I'm Matt Present.
And I'm Nick Yor.
The sports world has crawled to a standstill here as of late, but we want to continue to bring you content here on DMV Stream with our brand new show called Then and Now.
Yep, we take a look back into someone's past and then take a look into the future of what's going on right now. Our first guest is Sidwell Friends head coach Eric Singletary.
Welcome back to DMV Stream's special presentation of Then and Now, and we're joined by Sidwell Friends head boys basketball coach Eric Singletary. Coach, appreciate you spending some time with us in what's an unusual time for all of us right now. How is it that you've been spending it and trying to keep your team together?
Oh, man, thanks for having me, Matt. Nick, good to be back. Just trying to be, stay positive, man, keep my sanity the best way I can and get out and get some sun and get some, walks in and do some reading. But definitely, like you said, taking advantage of the time to stay connected with the team through this unbelievable platform with Zoom in small groups, and large groups, just checking in and just keeping the guys' spirits up and making sure we stay connected. So just taking advantage of this platform here.
So, Coach, a lot has been made about the NBA, those facilities opening back up, allowing players to come in and get some shots up, some workouts. What is it like for you guys on the high school level? Obviously, you're probably up to a higher governing body, but being a private school, what has that allowed for you guys to maybe get workouts in or allow your players to do some stuff?
Yeah, no, we're following the same guidelines, as any state, whatever they're mandating. So, we haven't been back to school. We probably won't make it back this year. Doing the distance learning just like everybody else. So, with that capacity, we're not allowed to be on campus. So it's definitely challenging. It's tough. You want to be with your guys, and I know guys miss, you probably never had as many kids saying they miss being in school. So we just missed that chance.
Not just being in school, but I'm sure all the running you make them do, all the extra shots they have to get up, all the little things we're missing a little bit more now, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, with sports kind of at a standstill right now, we want to go back in your career a little bit and talk about the program itself and, just kind of give us a sense of what it's like for you to be able to coach your alma mater.
Man, I think that's always the biggest portion of the pleasure that I get from, coaching that, high school basketball is being able to do it where you kind of put the jersey on and, even though the facilities are a little more new, but just being able to say that that's where I played and, that's where I went to school as a student. And so understanding what all the kids going through academically, socially. And like I said, certainly it's been a thrill to have our program, be as successful as we've been able to be, especially, not being known for that, when I was in high school. So it's just a thrill to be there and to share that. And I always tell the kids I win twice, as a coach and as an alum.
So this is then and now, so we're going to take it back a little bit. As an alum, what made Sidwell the right choice for you as a student athlete going back a little bit? Obviously wasn't maybe the big name basketball program that it's been since you've taken over as head coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously you have a lot of people, adults, to step in the gaps. I didn't know much about Sidwell coming out of, Southeast Washington, D.C., but I just think once I took my visit and meeting all the different people and when you come out of a neighborhood like mine, I think that, although I would have been fine, going to my local school, I think that it was important for me to get that level of exposure and diversity and the things that I was looking for. And then as an athlete, I just felt like, it was a good place for me to kind of put my stamp on what I wanted to be as an athlete, and being a person who's considered to be a leader, even at a young age, so I think it was a good fit for me.
Where do you feel like the program has grown the most? I mean, obviously you graduated in the early 90s, played in college, played overseas, and now even in your coaching time, it's gone back to 2008. So you've seen it at a lot of different stages. Where has it grown the most?
I think in the expectation of the community, certainly the players and their families, certainly in the scope of the type of families and middle school kids that are considering us, for more than just being a great academic school. I just think the expectations though, Matt, I think the fact that, I think each time we lace it up every year, I think each team that I have expects to be in the running for something, whether that's a tournament that we play during the year, whether that's the conference tournament, whether that's the regular season title, DC State, we've won all those things. And so I think the expectation level is the thing that I've seen change the most.
Yeah, and with those changes, What has been the biggest thing for you that you believe as a coach in your program to allow you guys to stick out in a very talented area like the DMV and kind of go up against some of these great programs like Gonzaga, DeMatha, and these DC State tournaments and other games like that?
I think the buy-in, Nick. I think, every coach talks about that, and we, all wish to get it every year. But I think the type of kids that we get, the type of families who understand what Sidwell Friends is all about from an academic standpoint, I think gives us some leverage on the court where, like, I just haven't had many kids that kind of resist the tough coaching that I, put on them. And, we stick to our core values, which are toughness, attitude, and intelligence. And I think that we play with those three things on a nightly basis. And I think that's allowed us to kind of continue, as Matt said, be more consistent in that conversation of like top programs in such a rich area when it comes to basketball.
No question about it. And you talk about the academic standards as well as Sidwell. Certainly standards that are much higher than a lot of other schools in the area, certainly something that Sidwell hangs its hat on. How much do you kind of embrace that, and how much do you see that translating onto the basketball court?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, there's no measurement to say that type of ability in the classroom is always going to correlate to your IQ on the basketball court. But, we've seen some type of, that it can be tantamount. So we're excited that we have those type of kids who want to be taught, who want to improve their skill level. But yeah, I mean, we revel in the fact that we're working really hard. Nobody's giving us anything. So I think that's the thing that translates, Matt. The fact that we work super hard in the classroom, and you got to earn everything you get. It's easy for me to translate that same message that's going to be on the court, when we have to compete against, like I said, all the great teams in this area.
So let's go back, I guess, a couple years now, but the DCS AA championship win over Wilson, obviously a huge win for you guys. Got a lot of big publicity for that. What was that championship like to take out a team with 4 future Division I players? And then just kind of what was the celebration, and just where does that win rank for you in your Sidwell coaching career so far?
Oh, man, I mean, it's still surreal to this day, especially when you look at the ending, right? It was a great game overall, but just to be able to hit 2 buzzer beaters, you could barely hit 1 in a career, right? So to have that happen in one game with Jason fouling out of the game and all the things that happened during the game, the fact that the game was right, maybe 5 blocks away from where I grew up over in the Southeast. And so to be able to have a bunch of my friends and family be there, it has to rank up there as, we've accomplished some great things, but I'd be remiss and foolish to say that wasn't the greatest thing that's happened to our program, especially in the manner in which it happened. But I definitely think we had huge expectations coming into the game. We knew how good they were as a team and the type of individuals they had, but we just believed in like who we were. And we just felt like if we kept it close, that we felt like eventually, like, our experience, we had some really good seniors on that team. We felt like we had the chance to win.
Let's go into some of the players that you've coached in recent years, and starting with Josh Hart, who's the most notable name to have donned a Sidwell basketball uniform, now playing in the NBA with the Lakers. How did his recruiting process go, and kind of what did you see in him initially, and where does that compare to where he is now?
Actually, Matt, Josh's recruiting is kind of similar to like how I've pretty much been excited about how we've gotten most of our kids, and that's kind of like word of mouth or somebody who knows me. So not me actually going out, seeing him play in some type of, middle school event. He came in as a high school transfer from Wheaton High School. So someone kind of referred him to me and their family. And first time I saw him work out, and I saw the intensity in which he went through like a workout. And I was just like, okay, that was step one. And then I went to see him play like he had an AAU game, I think the next week. And I was like, this kid's relentless. Like, he's all over the floor. Certainly he has some things we wanted to polish up and refine, but the toughest kid I've ever coached, had one of the best motors that I think anybody's probably ever seen in the DMV. And certainly he was able to take that motor and that passion for the game onto the next level, which led them to a national championship, player of the year, all the things he accomplished. And now, just I think has a long career in the NBA because he just brings that kind of those intangibles to the court every time out.
Was there a specific kind of signature moment for him at Sidwell?
It probably wasn't on the court, Matt. I think as many things as he accomplished on the court, I think Josh's toughness was matched or elevated with the fact that, it's as it's storied and chronicled, how he struggled academically for a while there at Sidwell, and just the fact that he could have left and went to another school that was, probably easier for him, to manage academically. and maybe with a higher profile athletically as well. You know, there's schools in this area that can match that criteria. And so the fact that he and his family decided to stick it out at Sidwell, you know, where he knew we weren't going to cut any corners for him, I think that was the thing that stood out to me the most, which kind of gives him the longevity and really understanding how tough he really is.
Yeah, so another one of those players is Saddiq Bey, and he's obviously made a little bit more recent news for Villanova. Obviously had his season cut short, but did win the Julius Erving Award as the best small forward in the NCAA. Has a big, important decision coming up as he tries to test those NBA draft waters. As his former high school coach, have you been in contact with him, or what kind of advice do you kind of give those players that have moved on to the next level and are kind of trying to make that next step in their career, whether that be on the court or off?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, I try to stay in touch with all my players. I think we established a great relationship where just when they graduate, they'll always be a part of our family. So, you know, I go to a lot of their games, and certainly because Saddiq was at Villanova the way Josh was, I have a great rapport with their coaching staff, and so I was able to keep in touch. And so I just kind of told him, you know, Nick, through this process, man, like, you know, he's earned, you know, the right to be considered, you know, an NBA basketball player, and from all the travels that I, you know, the different avenues of conversations that I've had, you know, thinks very highly of him. So I just told him, you know, the advice that I give guys is like, you know, trust yourself, trust your training, trust the process, you know, go through it, you know, consult your people, but mainly just believe in yourself and like stay humble, stay hungry. So I think this, you know, sky's the limit for Saddiq, and, you know, we couldn't be more excited about the things that he's been able to accomplish gradually throughout his career, you know, at Sidwell, now at Nova, and hopefully, you know, beyond to the NBA.
Has it hit home for you yet that you really or could have not one, two, but a couple of really NBA players that have really kind of gone through your program? What does that mean to you?
I mean, that's never the goal. I mean, certainly at probably most coaches at any high school, you never know that. Still that transformative time, we don't know who's really going to be that good. There's so many things that factor into getting into the NBA. And certainly at a school that we talked about, Matt, you know, just the, you know, rigor academically, what we're known for. And so it's shocking, you know, and surreal, and, you know, obviously a thrill to know that, you know, in a short amount of time, if, you know, Lord's willing, Saddiq will make our second NBA player, which will give us, even in this incredible area, Nick, we will be the only program outside of DeMatha to have multiple pros. So it's unbelievable.
Yep.
That's really cool, and I'm sure special for you and special for them. We talked about Josh Hart and Saddiq Bey both going to Villanova. What kind of relationship have you built with Villanova as a program and Jay Wright as a coach?
I've been able to build a tremendous relationship with that, he and his staff, and they do an unbelievable job. And we incorporate a lot of the values that they talk about. You know, I've spent some time with Jay even before Josh got there. We would go to team camps and stuff like that, and I was just really drawn to how he runs his program. And certainly having guys play for him and the access that they granted myself and my staff, we've been able to establish an unbelievable rapport with that program.
Yeah, so another one of those big players that have come through the Sidwell program, and personally one of the ones I enjoyed watching the most was Jason Gibson. We talked about him a little bit with that championship run, but just kind of the person, the player he is coming in kind of under the radar and then kind of establishing himself in that big senior year. What did he do as a four-year program as a whole? And then kind of, because I just feel like he's kind of like the perfect story for Sidwell Friends, under-recruited, did everything right on and off the court, and then finally made his dues and got his offer to Townsend.
Oh, no doubt about it, Nick. I mean, you know, one of the favorite, you know, you look, your lead-in was better than what I can say. I mean, he just, you know, 1,500-point scorer. You know, he kind of did it from day one. You know, a lot of people may not know that who didn't follow he and the program. You know, 4-year starter, unbelievable accomplishments. I was so thrilled to see that, you know, his first team all met in the senior year. I never used the word deserve, but I definitely thought he deserved that. And just what he's been able to accomplish, like you said, on and off the court, model citizen, played hard every game, you know, kept his nose clean, you know, just kept getting better and better every year, and just had an unbelievable senior year leading us to that championship, and just what he was able to accomplish on the court. And clearly, you know, what he's taken, like you said, under-recruited, and, you know, goes to Townsend and it makes the all-rookie team, you know, and almost makes, you know, rookie of the year. So just once again, like you said, unbelievable story, big-time player, kept his patience the whole time. He handled the recruiting better than me. I was stressed out about it upset. And he just kept, saying, Coach, I just want to keep getting better. So he had the right attitude the whole way through. So I'm a huge fan of Jason Gibson.
Well, we've heard the then on Jason. We'll get the now next. Jason Gibson standing by. He joins us after the break. Coach, appreciate your time.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys and the platform you provide.
And now we get the now. Jason Gibson, who's just finished off his freshman season with the Towson Tigers. Jason, glad to have you with us. How are things treating you right now? How are you keeping basketball in your life?
Good. I mean, there's a hoop next door that I've been using, working out by myself, running. We have weights. I have weights here. So it's been pretty easy to, stay in shape and keep a basketball in my hand.
It's good to hear. It's always tough to see what these NBA college and now high school guys are going to be able to do during this pandemic. But this is then and now, so let's take it back a little bit. And I was always curious after watching you play your senior year, really just how did Sidwell Friends become the right place in high school for you to be a student athlete? Obviously, so many great options here in the DMV, both public and private. How did you and your family decide Sidwell was the right place?
So my family ultimately wanted me to be, the deciding, factor in where I wanted to go. I was deciding between Mount St. Joe, DeMatha, and Sidwell. Actually, those were my three. And I visited all three of those schools, and Sidwell was easily just the best fit for me. The community was just so welcoming. I knew that it was just going to be, best for me in the long run with how good academically it was. And I saw what, Coach Singletary was doing with the program, and I knew that I would be able to come in and help and, represent Sidwell in a good way.
You talked about coming in as a freshman. Take us through your career and just kind of how you focused on your different role, because the way you were used early in your career, surrounded by guys like Sadiq Bey, was much different than the way you were used as a senior, where things were much more up to you as a playmaker. How did you kind of develop that role as you made your way through your high school career?
Yeah, so Coach Singletary recruited me as a point guard coming in. My first 2 years playing at Sidwell, I was a 4-year starter, but I didn't play point guard my first 2 years at Sidwell. I was definitely a shooting guard. I was a catch and shoot guy, kind of standing in the corner, make the right play. But junior year, I got to have the ball in my hand more. Having Sadiq with me was, very helpful. Him being able to score the ball like he does, and just his presence. So I think that kind of helped me make my big jump, just getting that first year under my belt of me being a point guard. And then senior year, I could, kind of take over and kind of run the show how I wanted to.
Yeah, so let's go to that senior year. I remember watching you over at Flint Hill going up against Quadis Wahab, who's at Georgetown now. You guys were going toe-to-toe pretty much the entire game. And I remember asking you after the game about your offers and interests in college, and you said there wasn't much. So how frustrating was the recruiting process early on in your high school career?
It was definitely frustrating. I think to me, it started to get more frustrating towards the end, like towards DC States, when I really wasn't getting any looks, after beating St. John's and, beating some powerhouse programs. I thought I would maybe get some more looks. So that was kind of frustrating. But, it helps going up against those great players. Flint Hill obviously had a, really good team. They had big players down there, so gave us some trouble. But I think, we always competed. So I just tried to go out there and just, play my game every day and see if somebody, give me a chance or recognize me. So.
Well, you talked about that championship run in 2019. Take us back to that moment, championship game. What are the emotions like of winning and capping your career in that fashion?
I mean, I was in tears just from, all the hard work and people saying we couldn't do it. I mean, you're definitely the underdogs. My entire senior year, you look at our squad and, we don't really pass the eye test, but we're going to go out there and, we're going to give you a run for your money. So coming out on top like that, especially the way we did with that buzzer beater, was just pretty surreal.
So how rewarding was it after that, kind of the dust settles and the celebration is over and the awards start to come in, first team all met among other different ones, and then you get the offer from Towson. How good does that feel after being overlooked for so long? Kind of take us to that moment when you got that first offer.
It was, I mean, definitely amazing getting a call from Coach Scary. Just hearing him believe in me and kind of seeing the things that I saw in myself was just kind of reassuring, that I can play at the D1 level, and it was definitely a relief. And I love the visit. It was a right fit.
One season Tigers in the books. As you think back to your accomplishments this year, what is it that you think Sidwell most prepared you for? Not just on the basketball court, but overall, the experience that you had in high school. What are some things that really benefited you from that experience that you've taken with you to Towson?
I think the things that we valued a lot at Sidwell was toughness and intelligence. I think no matter how tall you are, how strong you are, it really depends on how you play, like being tough and making the right play, being smart. I think that's what really helped me do what I do in the D1 level, just being able to make the right play and having Coach Scary being able to trust someone to have the ball in their hand and lead the team. So I think Coach Singletary and Sidwell really prepared me for that.
So yes, you made the all-rookie team in the CAA, and I was actually there to watch you guys in the CAA tournament for a couple of games before that whole COVID-19 stuff broke out in Washington, D.C. Pretty good year for you guys. This year, obviously looking to improve on that. What does the next couple of years look like for you guys at Towson? Obviously have a lot of good local talent as well, including yourself, Charles Thompson from St. Stephen's, and then Corey Barnes coming in this year from Archbishop Carroll.
Yep. Yeah, we're definitely excited about that. We lost a couple of seniors that were pretty big pieces, so people are definitely going to have to step up. I know Coach Gary's told me I already have a bigger role this year, being a leader on the team. So it's definitely going to be an interesting step for me to be more vocal and to be a leader as a sophomore. So I'm excited for all that, and I'm excited for all the talent that we have coming in. I think we're going to be able to surprise people.
What has it been like to follow in the footsteps of a Josh Hart and a Sadiq Bey, and to see these guys that have played in front of you at Sidwell and to see the success that they have had as you move through your college career?
I mean, I'm just excited, doing what I can. I was really close with Sadiq, my 4 years. We were both kind of under the same boat. He obviously took that jump of being from like 5'9" to 6'8" or whatever, which is a crazy jump. I'm really happy for him, doing what he does, getting the recognition he deserves. He's one of the hardest working dudes. We used to work out together and go do lifts and stuff. So I'm just glad to see them growing. And, also Jelani Williams getting back on the court. That's going to be something I think as a Sidwell program we're going to be looking forward to, him getting back out there.
So what's the thing you're most excited for about Towson basketball next season? Maybe something you can give the fans to look out for. Do you guys have a big tournament or anything that you're really just looking forward to since your season got a little bit cut short this year?
We're just looking forward to getting back in the gym. We miss being with each other. That's kind of the biggest thing. We miss getting to work. I mean, I know we're all excited to go out there and play. And a lot of people are going to get more minutes this year, and people are going to step up. So I know a lot of people are excited. We have kids who sat out last year, like Demetrius Mims, from school in Baltimore, and we have a transfer 7-footer of Victor from USC. So we're all excited. I think we play Ohio State next year at Ohio State, so that'll be something to look forward to.
Yeah, hopefully that'll be a big win for you guys. So now personally, what do you think, or what are you trying to improve most in your game this offseason, going from freshman to sophomore year in your game specifically?
Definitely trying to, get stronger. I need to be more confident with taking shots and, leading the team, being a playmaker, getting in the paint more. I didn't get it in the paint as much as I wanted to last year, but it just, comes with experience, and it kind of developed my whole high school career as well. So I'm just trying to look to improve in those areas.
Before we let you go, I just want to get your insight. Now that you've finished your high school career, you're working hard and playing well in college. If you were to give advice to an 8th grader, let's say, who's looking at high schools, and of course we know that the traditional DC powers are the DeMathas and the Gonzagas, what is your pitch on why someone should at least consider going to Sidwell and have the success that you had?
Yeah, I think ultimately you have to look at yourself and what's the right fit for you. I knew that, you know, sometimes going to those powerhouse programs is not going to be the best fit for you, depending on what the coach thinks of you, how he believes you can play, stuff like that. But you can't just look at the basketball program. You have to look overall. How do you see yourself at this school? You know, how do you think this community is going to wrap their arms around you and, you know, help you, you know, in other things other than just basketball? Because at some point it always stops. So I think that's what you really need to focus on.
Well, hopefully the current stoppage for you doesn't last much longer, Jason. We really appreciate you taking the time and giving us a look back at the Sidwell Friends side of your career, and I look forward in what's to come with Towson.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Once again, thank you so much to Eric Singletary and Jason Gibson for joining us today on Then and Now.
And catch Coach Singletary on the hardwood at Sidwell Friends next season, and Jason Gibson up at Towson University in Baltimore for his sophomore year.
And catch us on DMV Stream online at DMVSTREAM.com and on social media by searching DMV Stream. We'll see you next time on Then and Now.